Penn Station.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
What's up, everybody? Salute. Welcome to the Playback Sports Jedi Network YouTube channel. How's everyone going? How's everyone doing? Long time we don't talk on a round table. We normally do a lot of Knicks basketball watch along, but we're going to preview the postseason. A very successful 2024-25 season, regular season for the New York Knicks is in the books, but we got some questions. Hopefully we can answer. We could have a debate, a discussion. You can always join in on the conversation. We would love to have some panelists as well. We'd love to. It's an open forum. If you want to come on as a panelist, you're more than welcome. I'm opening it up. So join me. Let's talk about some Knicks basketball. This upcoming postseason kicks off Saturday night, and we're ready to go. Let's go. We got Big Task at hand in the building. What up, Big Task? Appreciate you always showing love, always providing a lot of support. And I definitely wanted to say shout you out in public as well. And I wanted to acknowledge you. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. Anyone that wants to join, you're more than welcome to have this conversation with me. Of course, the Knicks finished third in the Eastern Conference, 51 wins. We have some questions, though. Uncharacteristic for me personally, whenever I've done this watch along for 4 years now, doing Knicks watch along, calling their games. One thing that I noticed with this Knicks season is it's been a fun season, calling their games each and every other game when they played. Yes, there were some struggles. Do we want to pull our hair at times when it comes to the rotation and question? All in all, 51-win season. There was a lot of good stuff done. We collectively held our breaths with some injuries, some key injuries to remember for Onyeka Anunoby, Brunson, so forth. But still, all in all, they played different. They played different from the years past. They're not this team that was gritty. This was more of a team that was offensively juggernaut in the beginning of the year. You saw the efficiency on the offense. They scored. There was a predominantly two-man game. As Steven is joining us, telling us Detroit is very physical. Yes, Detroit is in a physical team where we're going to break that right now. And definitely let me find some of these questions that I had here. Let me find all this different stuff here before we get going. Most important players in that Knicks Pistons series, and we could easily break that down. If it starts with the captain, Jalen Brunson's health. If Jalen Brunson is able to facilitate, break down the defense, get the team situated in a half-court setting, find the right man, play that two-man game with Karl-Anthony Towns, and then Towns is the big man that you hopefully could trust to make the proper passes, either to your wings, to OG Anunoby or Hart or Bridges, and they have to hit their long-range shots. Josh Hart is going to be very important in this series. They're going to probably double team or crowd the paint, and they're going to probably have Josh Hart either he's going to be able to drive and break down the defense, or he's going to have to hit some long-range three-point shooting. I think the Pistons will gamble on Hart wide open three, become a three-point shooter rather than attacking the basket. But they are very confident, like Steve said, very physical, confident enough that with Isaiah Stewart and company, they want to protect that rim and block some shots and go the other way with Kate Cunningham on the fast break. One thing that the Pistons won't be able to do is use their athleticism to run in fast break, especially when you break down the half court. When you play a half court game, you're going to have to slow things down. And I think that's an advantage for the Knicks, where they play a slower pace on half court postseason play, where you have Karl-Anthony Towns, such a dynamic scorer. He's just got to stop complaining if he doesn't get the foul calls. Keep playing, keep attacking, keep aggressive, and keep going strong with that, because he should be getting some calls here, especially him being an all-star starter. should be getting some benefit of the whistles, but we can't rely on that. We have to continue to play his game. He's going to have to continue to hit low post attack. One thing that frustrates me a little bit from Karl-Anthony Towns is dynamic when he's on a heater shooting the three ball. But when he's not hitting the three and shooting from such a long distance, it kind of frustrates you because if he misses that, it's a swing. That's what the Pistons will want to do. They're going to want to take the deep rebounding. The guards are going to be important with the offensive rebounding and and especially when it's 3-point shooting for the deep rebounding. Be set, be ready. And that's one of the things the Knicks have to do here. Some of the acolytes throughout the season, Knicks offense, which finished 5th in points scored per possession, with Towns and Jalen Brunson developing in one of the league's most two-pointed two-man game. That's what I was talking about. That pick and roll, the dynamic between Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, moving that basketball there. Now Mitchell Robinson back on the court. Hopefully he can stay healthy. According to Tom Thibodeau, there's no restrictions because there's no more back-to-backs. There's always in-between games between the series where there's going to be rest and recovery even too. You know how the first round of the postseason goes. They're becoming marathon, not a sprint. And then we'll see how that goes when it comes to Mitchell Robinson's health. He's a big part of this, the Knicks not making any big-time moves for the Kessler Walker from Utah didn't make that move. Count on to Mitchell Robinson. Some love him, some don't. Some get frustrated, some don't. He's one of those guys that is a heckle and jive. He could be a player who could come in there and wreck the series with his defensive prowess and with the offensive rebounding putbacks. Or then sometimes he just gets in some foul troubles or injury that just you're like, when we need you the most, you're not available. Is he a reliable player for the Knicks? Some could debate he is and isn't. To me, he's still. I hold my breath collectively when I see Mitchell Robinson on the court. I know the upside is so high and the ceiling is so high, but then damn, he sets the bar where you would for expectation. You expect the worst, but you're pleasantly surprised with the outcome you get. I guess when it comes to Mitchell Robinson, if I said it correctly, the Knicks. They struggle with good opponents all season, going 6 of 16 against teams in the top 10 points differential. The Pistons, since mid-December, are 9th in points differential. What that means that the Knicks struggle with some good playing teams who could play some offense, and you see that with the OKCs, the Celtics, the Cavaliers. Here's what I'm going to say. Watching this team, majority over 70-plus games this season, it's like they never get to play these teams with a full, healthy squad. It's not an excuse because you have to develop your roster. You have to learn how to scout and bring in players to fit your system for depth. You can't always rely on 8 core players. Yes, in the postseason you will, but to get through an 82-game grind. And I think that's what the fan base tends to get irate and get frustrated with Coach Tom Thibodeau. The inability of developing player number 12, 13, and 14, or even 11. And yes, if they're playing major minutes, we have some issues. But boy, damn, it would be nice to have them ready and sharp and play and feel like they're part of the rotation, not just the first 8 to 9. And then, of course, I think that's one of the reasons why there was a little bit of a disconnect with Jericho Sims, although Jericho Sims looks like he's being a little disconnected in Milwaukee, due to the fact that he's too reserved. There was been some talks about Jericho Sims, but my point is Jericho Sims should have been developed a little more along that he has. The lack of playing time, if a player, especially in the regular season, player makes a mistake, the yanking, the pulling off him off the court. This is not a Tom Thibodeau bashing. This is a critique of Tom Thibodeau that I think it's a well-warranted one, a well-spoken one, because we've seen that with Tyler Kolak. All have and the absence of Brunson, the absence of Cameron Payne, when Delon Wright and Tyler Kolak played, watching them play, Kolak was developing, was a plus on the court. he makes an offensive mistake. I mean, look, his shot is going to be rusty. Sitting on the bench, not shooting the ball in real time, you tend to get a little rusty. A play like that, he's yanking him, he's pulling them. How you build confidence on a player if you know the first mistake you're going to commit or do, the head coach is coming for you, and that's not an easy. You can't play basketball with confidence or ease because it's like you're playing and you're looking over your shoulder. It's like the little kid that thinks that they're going to get scolded or spanked for doing anything by the parent. Like, should I take a sip of water? If a drop comes down, I'm gonna get reprimanded, and that's how the players kind of proceed when it comes to Coach Thibodeau. Is he a little rigid? He could be, but right now he's our head coach. We have to ride this. We'll see where the Knicks go in this playoff run before we even address that, if is a change needed or not needed. So we got the playoff schedule here. We got the playoff schedule, and it begins this Saturday, 6 p.m. ESPN, followed by Monday. So they're getting one day in between, and this is where the convoluted schedule. When they go to Detroit, they got quite a few games in between, Thursday and then Sunday. Of course, to be the TBD for Thursdays nights. That's probably going to be a 6 o'clock. 8 o'clock game when TNT, and then 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Of course, if necessary, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I think this is going to be a series that's going to give you my prediction in a minute when it comes to the series. Let me get this schedule out. Let me read what Big Task. But I believe that you got to want it too. Sims just didn't have enough. Yes, Sims had opportunities. Big Task. There was plenty of times that you heard me or I've said Jericho Sims is developing well. My God, he's taking a step forward, or a positive step forward, because he's not committing the silly fouls. He's not getting the moving screens. Oh my God, he's actually on the floor for a little bit. But then there's times that when he doesn't rotate with his defensive assignments. He leaves his man open, or space cadets like they call it, and then he gets burned. But then when I'm looking at this as well, I also see Karl-Anthony Towns making almost same mistakes. We got to call spade a spade, just because he's our superstar that could score over 27 points a game, and he much more superior player than Jericho Sims, but they're kind of making the same mistake. So now I go back to asking, besides Tom Thibodeau on the coaching, and you know where I'm going to go with this, because you hear me complain about this a lot on my watch-alongs. What are the assistant coaches? What are the surrounding men around Tom Thibodeau doing? They each individual are responsible for a act or a part of the defensive team or offensive, or they all have a job individual to make the team come together to fall under the head coach's tree. I don't see that with the timeouts. I don't see the coaching being done as of last year. And again, it's when you had Johnny Bryant on the coaching sidelines, you will see during timeouts, Bryant will have conversations with players, have that talk, have that conversation. You see Thibodeau, of course, has that conversation, but he's drawing up plays. The only assistant coach on that bench that's really doing a great job is the replay coach, because they're very well on the top of the league in replays and winning those challenges. When I mean replay, the challenging coaches who tells Thibodeau challenge, don't challenge, they do a good job. The rest, I don't see any growth in their head, in his surrounding coaching assistants. I don't know if I don't want to sound like Brunson, Rick Brunson. What is his assignment? You see, he's one of the few that you see communicating. He does communicate. He's more of a calming influence for his son and the guards. It looks like that. But who's manning the forwards? Who's manning the center's position? The rotating defense when a guy is losing, and you see this constantly, time and time again, on the court, where the pick and roll defense is atrocious with this team. Well, whose responsibility there? Why aren't we having fixes? It was game 79, 80, and we're still having those same issues. The collapsing there of that last home game against the Cavaliers, up by 15. It seems like they kept going to the same play, running the same pick and roll. They were getting killed. No rim protection. And that's something that we used to give Tom Thibodeau a lot of love and credit, where he was a center whisperer. We saw that when Nerlens Noel, when he arrived here, and made Nerlens Noel a defensive juggernaut. Mitchell Robinson couldn't even stay on the floor, and he has become what he is now under Coach Thibodeau system, regardless of the fact that it was Kenny Payne or Mike Woodson, although the coaches that were here before that left and prior, that still kept going because Isaiah Hartenstein played his way out of New York with getting a big contract due to the fact falling under this system and flourishing, playing, defending the paint, protecting the rim, all that good stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't see it this season. I was hoping that Jericho Sims will fall in line. While he had plenty of opportunities with Mitchell Robinson not coming back when he came back. Karl-Anthony Towns, let's face it, Towns is an all-star that's going to be stubborn in his way. I don't think there was going to be ever an improvement for Karl-Anthony Towns to be a defensive player or improve minorly defensively. I think he's going to be who he is. He's that offensive juggernaut who's going to score tons of points, and he's a hybrid. Is he a power forward or is he a center? Is that a good dilemma for the Knicks? I don't know. Only time will tell, because he's not a true center. Karl-Anthony Towns is not a true center. He could shoot the three. He could play those minutes, but be honest with you, he is not an everyday NBA center. He's a power forward. To me, he looks like a power forward with the finesse, with the he could get you rebounds. He had some games there where he was consciously getting 20 rebounds. He has so many 20 rebound games. We could say, so then you say now you're contradicting yourself. No, because then he kind of faded when the bigger defensive teams or the top echelon teams, he didn't sniff high rebounding games. He was being pushed or forced out of the paint by the bigger, more offensive and more top echelon teams in the Eastern and on the NBA. He didn't put up those kind of numbers. That's a kind of a worrisome or a red flag. I'm not even talking about the scoring. I'm talking about the defensive prowess or the rebounding, getting some rebounds, keeping teams that you can't give second opportunities to get those and being on rebound. And we saw that a lot with in the regular season with Karl-Anthony Towns. Does that worry me in the postseason? Yeah, absolutely, because every possession that you don't secure that rebound and give the opponent, it could be a dagger in a close possession, 2-possession, 1-possession game down the stretch, because you give them an extra possession to try to tie or take the lead. There eventually law of averages is going to come up and creep you and bite you. That's a worry that I have when it comes to the Knicks in this postseason. One of the things they got to worry about, of course, their star, Cade Cunningham, finally developing one of the lottery picks there, feasting against the New York Knicks. During the regular season, he averaged 30.8 points, 8.3 assists, and 33.6 minutes per game while shooting 56% from the floor and 52% from three-point land. Those numbers have to change. Those numbers have to change, Cade Cunningham, because if he gets going and you get some rim protection from Isaiah Stewart and company and down low with Durant, it might be a series where we might get upset, especially if the Knicks are not able to score offensively like they're normally known for. So that's a little bit of an issue that worries me. The Knicks head-to-head that the Pistons took the series 3-1. The Knicks' only victory came back in the start of the season in November when the Pistons were really bad. I don't think Cunningham played that game that I recall. And ever since that, their Pistons have gotten the best of the Knicks. Up and coming team, ascending. This is one thing. That record, that stat doesn't really bother me. We've seen the Knicks ascending from a terrible team that we hear season, and they beat the Hawks. They swept the Hawks all season, and we got gentlemen swept in the postseason because we were an up-and-coming playing team, and then the Hawks just had our number. They were much better team, gifted off just talent-wise. That's why that doesn't worry me when it comes to the regular season series. It also depends if the Knicks play them back-to-back, where they traveling from. All those things come into effect. This is a series that everyone's going to be rested. The Knicks will be off. They'll be rested. They'll be ready to go. Everyone should be healthy, and now everyone's going to go. Both teams healthy. They both go, and then usually the better talented team normally wins? Who does Vegas like in this series? Simple. Vegas odds. This is from BetMGM. The Knicks are a favorite to win the series, minus 425. They're calling it a close series because it's a plus 325 to minus 425. Who do you like? Who do I like? I think the Knicks win this series. I think the Knicks win the series in 6 games. I think it's going to be a hard fought. They'll win that game 6, but they're going to pull it out like where they might be staring at a game 7, and they'll win that game 6. If it makes sense. They're not going to look so sharp in game 6, like, oh yeah, that was a 4-2 win. I think they'll win game 4-2 in game 6, but they're going to battle. They're going to have to roll their sleeves. They're going to have to show their intestinal fortitude, where I think that's where Brunson excels. Those kind of games that are muddy, mucky, physical, that's where Brunson becomes so valuable, excelling. But here's the thing. He doesn't have that physicality beast of a Julius Randle down low. I don't know, Karl-Anthony Towns, what's the dynamic? This is the first time we're seeing Karl-Anthony Towns playing. He's here first year. What is he going to give us? He is a big wild card factor, believe it or not. I know what I'm going to get from OG Anunoby. He's an ascending superstar. Could he take over the series? I wouldn't be surprised if we talk about we make this video, or we get back together for this roundtable in a couple of weeks. OG Anunoby could be like, oh my God, I didn't think he was going to excel as this megastar. And I wouldn't surprise me if we this is an OG Anunoby series with a Brunson. Instead of we're thinking Towns and Brunson, it could be an OG and Brunson series going over. But we'll see there. I get another comment. I think that the Knicks are very nervous about this series with the Pistons. You know what? It's a good thing, though. My big task. I'll tell you, because now they don't go in there overconfident or cocky. The Knicks, when they shock the world, when they play well, is when people count them out. When they're an underdog, where they're expecting to be butts of jokes, to be use that as a comedy relief, and that's when they come in and they just shock the world, and then they go, oh damn. And the Knicks right now are the butt of the jokes, where they can't. What's the point? They can't beat any of the big teams. They're just going to get embarrassed and lose. So right now, hey. This team has done this time and time again, and this is the nucleus team. This is not just only a couple, just what Karl-Anthony Towns and a few others. This team has been there, done that, with the being counted out by the league and some of the fan base. But they always do something different. They always persevere when they're counted out. So I'm not going to worry about the Knicks being too nervous for the series. Now, I do gotta say this: what will relax them with the tension, or ease off their levels of anxiety or stress, if they should not lose game 1. They have to win game 1 in this series, set the tone in the series, protect home court. As soon as on Saturday, they have to win game 1. If they tie the game, if they tie the series after game 2, I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm not going to go worried. It's a series. But if they lose game 1, I could see them getting a little under the collar, a little, tight, especially with some reports from some of the beat writers saying there's some issues in the locker room. I mean, now we get this here, some issues in the locker room. What could it be? What could the problem be there? Is that just them for Knicks for clicks? I don't get it. Why now? D-Ross is in the chat. What's going on, D-Ross? Salute to you, man. What's going on? We're talking some Knicks playoff series, previewing the series here for Saturday with the up and coming young Pistons, and of course, okay, here we go. Here's another question: can the Knicks shut down the East Elite? Well, this is what the postseason is about. We're gonna find out with the Knicks if they're gonna be able to shut down the elite, because if they were to get past right now, these Pistons, who have been the hottest team since January in the calendar year, in the NBA, with both scoring and defensively, because that's their Pistons calling card. They play some good defense. If they could get past this, they have they'll wait for the second round and see if the big task at hand is waiting for them there in the Boston Celtics or the Orlando Magics. We'll find out there. Will the Knicks make major adjustments? When I mean major adjustments, the amount of minutes, the rotation wise. even if Thibodeau is going to play 8 men or 9, I need him to know when to sub correctly. Know when, recognize and take the temperature of his player if they're a little fatigued. Maybe one player needs to come out and put put a McBride in for a couple of minutes, because let's say Hart needs a spell. He's chugging it and leaving him open. Well, guess what? Now McBride, if they leave McBride open, McBride is a more cerebral 3-point shooter in short term than a Hart. Then Hart gets the game slowed down, bring him in. Those are the type of adjustments. Know when to make the right subs and know when to make the right plays. Those are the big key adjustments, major adjustments that I'm talking about. Recognize when Big Mitchell Robinson is playing with the starters and they're getting rebounds, and you might have to hold the Karl Anthony Towns just a little bit more extra minute, or don't be so predictable on the third quarter, and your first sub is going to be 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and the players have played all the third quarter, and they're trying to rally or hold the lead. Then come fourth quarter, they're going to be gassed. That's when teams come in and they give you the punch in the mouth, and you don't recover in the fourth quarter. Learn those right adjustments. Make those right adjustments. We want to see something different. You've been trying it for 4 years. We know that there's a ceiling or a plateau, which is the second round. Try just a little bit of adjustment. Try something different, because your definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting the same results. You're doing the same thing, and you're getting to a second round plateau. It's good. Listen, it's great that we're talking and getting ready for Knicks playoffs, not waiting for the ping pong balls, which I appreciate on that. D-Ross, there we go. Let's go. The guys, T-minus 2 days and 18 hours. Let's go. The guys are ready. The guys are pumping, ready to go. Only cat could stop us. I have no fear. I mean, there you go. Putty cat. What do you guys call him? The putty cat. Oh, let me get. And what are the Knicks' identity? Here's the other one. We lost a little bit of our tough identity, or who are the New York Knicks, where Dante DiVincenzo, was that tough, gritty, and so was Julius Randle. You didn't think about doing shenanigans or goofing around when you had those two on the court. The showboating, or it's funny that we didn't let other teams do that, but meanwhile, Bridges hits a couple of threes, he turns around and he starts showboating, or he start doing his stupid move to the bench. We lost our identity, because now teams want to clown us, teams want to beat us, teams want to make us look goofy. When they had Randall and Devo, they didn't think twice, because they knew they were going to get hard foul. They were going to get that, or they were going to get in their face. That's the one thing that I do miss, is for Randall and a little bit of DiVincenzo's, that grittiness, that toughness. Like, I don't want to mess. Knicks ain't no one to mess with. How Wu-Tang says, ain't nobody ready to fuck with. Yeah, the Knicks weren't. That was who the Knicks were. You didn't want to mess with them. I wish their identity. What's their identity? We'll find out. Maybe they're a postseason team. Maybe this team wait to turn on that switch, that gear, because they are uber talented. If you look at the players that we have, OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges easily could be number two options on any other NBA teams. Easy could be a number 2 option. Easy. Karl Anthony Towns, number 1. He was the number 1 option in Minnesota. Brunson is the number 1 option here in New York. You got a couple guys. You have four of your 5 guys who could easily be 1 and 2 punches. You have 2 number 1 and 2 punches on your roster. Again, it's about coaching. It's about making the right adjustments. It's coming together as a team. And, of course, they have had 82 games to do this. Now it's time to put up or shut up as a team, or maybe this is a fit that the front office might not think it's going to work long term. So this is an interesting series. This is a big cross in the road series for the Knicks in this playoff, but especially this series. This series is huge. The Knicks had an offensive rating of 118.5 points per game. This placed them 5th among offensive efficiencies in the NBA, but the Knicks were also ranked 9th in terms of scoring per game. So they're one of the top 10 offenses, top 5, top 10 offenses in the NBA. We know they could score the basket. We know when everything is right, where they could score. They could, guys got multiple 30-point games. Brunson with some 40s and 50, and Carl Anthony Towns with some 30 and 20s. We know that. But this is now a half court game. You're going to have to now play the half court pick and roll. You have to set offenses. You can't turn the basketball over. And of course, you have to hit some open shots. Their 3-point shooting percentage was 35.8, and they averaged 12.6 3-pointers per game. They ranked 24th in the league. This is where Dante DiVincenzo's 3-point shooting, and of course, you sprinkled in a lot like Burke that you're missing off the bench, is being missed mightily with this series and this season. That's why it felt a little different, because we were spreading the basketball. Dante DiVincenzo was hitting some shots, set the franchise record of the most 3-point shots made. You missed that. Cameron Payne with he could hit some shots, but hopefully Larry Shamet has come well in the final stretch of the season. Hopefully he could carry it into the postseason with his hot shooting, and he's going to be another one off the bench that's going to be important, along with Miles McBride. I think McBride, Shamet, more than Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne, what I really need from Cameron Payne is for him to break down the defense with the floater, alongside with Mitchell Robinson with the pick and roll. If he goes for the floater, pull Isaiah Stewart with the lob for that easy bucket. I kind of want to see that. That play has been gone a little bit from the Knicks, although Mitchell Robinson hasn't been healthy. Emmanuel quickly used to do that so well with Mitchell Robinson. They had that repertoire there in that second unit. I kind of missed that. I thought we were going to get that develop with these final few games, the final month of the season, but it didn't really flourish. Cameron Payne got injured as well, and so forth. I would have liked to see that with Mitch. I don't know. They kept Mitchell Robinson with a lot of bubble wrap to close out the season. I hope they unleash him, and I hope they could definitely really set the right turn. What's up, DJ? This Knicks versus Pistons can go either way. Even though the Knicks supposed to be the better team, you know what, DJ? We're agreeing with you on that. We're Knicks fans. We're huge Knicks fans, of course, you can see by the hat. But this is a series where the ascending Kate Cunningham playing some good basketball, and the Pistons as a group has been playing their best basketball since the calendar year. They're ascending. They're hungry. They brought in some good veterans. They brought some guys who could hit the three, and Tim Hardaway Jr., although we know he could be heckling Checo. That's not, and they have a nice balance here. To me, is how bright are the lights going to be in the Pistons' vision against the Knicks? Is the moment a little too much, or they're just like it's just for them? They don't see that the lights don't bother them. That's going to be the issue there, DJ. Do they have enough firepower to go in Madison Square Garden in the postseason with a ruckus crowd and win a game at the Garden? They're going to have to win. That's why Game 1 is a very important game, DJ. And I appreciate the comment. If they could go in on the road in a hostile territory and take a Game 1 and take the crowd, because if they go Game 1, Game 2, the crowd is going to be nervous. They're going to be on edge. They're going to overreact first and foremost. Game 1, overreaction. Game 1. Either way, the Knicks win. Oh, we got this in the bag. Oh, if they lose, the sky is falling. So overreaction. Game 1. 3 points defense. The Knicks rating was 43.3, which means they are allowed to make 43% field goal from the outside the arc per 100 possession. There were 14 in the league. That means they were the middle of the pack. Their 3-point defense, not that good, not that great. They were just average. They would defend the three at times. Of course, we've seen that a lot with the Knicks over the years. That's something that complained, the 3-point shooting. Remember, Boston lit us up Game 1 of the first season, and so forth. We got to tighten up on the 3-point line. The Knicks free throw shooting percentage. This is where they excel big time. They were 5th in the NBA, 80% free throw shooting. But us, we're Knicks fans. Whenever the game goes down the line, when they need a key free throw, they always go one of two. They always shoot 50%. When they need to get that extra free throw to ice the game or to make it a 3-possession game, they keep it a 2, and then we're sweating bullets when the rest of the games are about to close out. Knicks bench combined for 20.4 points per game, which is the lowest in the. I was concerned. The inability of them. I don't know if they couldn't find anyone in the trading deadline to booster, or anything wasn't there enticing. Of course, they also gave 5 draft picks. I don't know if they had that capital to make deals to bring in some scoring. They put all their eggs in the Mitchell Robinson basket, and OG was a little injured, so they didn't want to get fleeced or seem desperate. But another scorer would have been an ideal situation for the Knicks to gotten in the trade deadline, but they did not. They stand pat. There you go. D-Ross says the Pistons are puppy dogs. He sees the Pistons with a lot of confidence because they won regular season series against the Knicks, including 2 at the Garden. Right. And that's why, Big Task, I go back to that Pistons, to the Hawks series, that we were uber confident. Oh, we beat them 4-1. We made them look like they look like they look like they didn't even believe. When we played them, we felt that they weren't even in our league. The Knicks, the Hawks, that's a breeze, and we ended up losing in a gentleman's sweep. I hope Tom Thibodeau puts that in their minds, in their heads. I know this is not the same team. It's a whole different team. Even Brunson wasn't even here. But under his regime, said, look, anything is possible. You can never go confident. Hopefully, and I hope the coaching staff is doing their work, not leaving Coach Thibodeau on himself. Coach Thibodeau, get him prepared for game 1, but in game, I know he's got to make those adjustments, but he has to rely on his coaches, man. Here's another one. The Knicks averaged 27.6 assists per game. Brunson led the team with 7.4 assists per game. For those that say he doesn't pass, he's averaging 7.4 assists per game, followed by Hart with 5.9 assists. OG Anunoby with 2.2 assists. Surprised Karl Anthony Towns didn't have a high assist. I thought he was going to have like 3 assists per game, but still, all in all, that's a good number for Brunson. I know we would like to have him at 9, close to double digits in assists, but when he's the main focal point of the offense most of the time and still has 7.4 assists average, that's a good number. That's a very good number for them. And of course, the Knicks average 42.8 rebounds per game, which ranked 24th in the league. That's uncharacteristic of a Tom Thibodeau team. Of course, also they've given up a lot of height when they play against a team like the Cavaliers. Big teams, even the Indiana Pacers. We tend to, when your guard at 6'5" or 6'6" and Josh Hart is your leading rebounder, you have an issue when you have to go up against in the postseason with some 7-footers. When you have some 7-footers in Mobley and Allen, that's going to be a problem. When Porzingis, you have some guys out there on the even if the Magics pull out the miracle, and they're going to give the Knicks problems with on the glass. They're just a bigger, taller team. Doing the same thing with the Pistons with Isaiah Stewart. He's only 6'8", but he's so physical. This is where Precious Achiuwa, Thibodeau's lack of trust in playing him off and on, and Jericho Sims didn't get played, and he's gone out on his team no more. They're not getting the rebound. That's the issue. That they're too small. They're too small. And uncharacteristic. You always want to get your rebounder. They're just one of those type of issues when it comes to the Knicks. So I still think the Knicks win this series. Is it going to be a beautiful, pretty series? It could, and it could. It could be a beautiful series where the Knicks play well because they have the talent. They're uber talented starting 5. Much more talented starting 5. But the problem is we're going to find out were they bored in the regular season because they know they're that gifted and that good, or they are who they are. They won 51 games. You saw the beginning of the season, they were juggernauts. November, December, you're like, holy crap, this team is good. And we didn't have even Mitchell Robinson then. And they played so well. Karl Anthony Towns was you could even, if the season were to end, but that's why the season's played 82 games. If the season would end around Christmas time, we could easily say that Karl Anthony Towns would have been an MVP, a league MVP, easily, the way he was playing, the way he was ingratiating himself to New York. Now we need him to do that for the postseason, for this organization, for this team, and for the city. And I think he's going to be pretty well good. I think he's going to do well. The one guy that's a wild card out of all of this, I haven't even spoken, was Mikal Bridges. I don't know what he is. Mikal Bridges is the third leading scorer on his team. I like to have and by barely a marginal, but the upside is OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby seems like he's the third leading scorer, but on paper, by numbers, is Bridges. But Anunoby is ascending. My thing is, do we have enough basketballs to feed these guys? Could we find the right guys at the right time and make the right plays? That's my worry. That's my worry, and that's what I hope that the Knicks could figure it out and back to life, back to reality. Hopefully not. Hopefully the Knicks could get back to their winning ways. I didn't like, and this is something about a Tom Thibodeau team. We've been watching them for 4 years. The Knicks always finish strong to close out the season. Some type of a long winning streak, some type of they start to gel. Then their layoff of the postseason hurts them because, like, damn, they came in so hot. And yes, they did win the first round last year and the year prior, but they always start off hot. When they always close off hot, they were a slow. Let me say this right. They were a slow starting team where Julius Randle taking some time off, or whenever there was a long last All-Star break, whatever, by his own admission. This year, there is no Julius right now. Right now, there is this team where they should be coming out of the gate nice and strong, rested, fully. Karl Anthony Towns hopefully his knees. Of course, banging through an 82 game grind. Brunson took some time off with the ankle. Hopefully he's ready to rumble. And as well as OG Anunoby continues to get healthy with playing that shutdown defense. And of course, we don't know what Bridges is. Unless Bridges is pacing himself because he's an Iron Man. Maybe he paces himself a certain way now. Postseason, go for broke. Leave it all on the floor. We know what Josh Hart does. He's an energy guy who is just pure, full of energy. Hopefully, he's slept on the right side of the bed. He drank his breast milk and he's ready to go. So, Knicks in 6, ladies and gentlemen. I got the Knicks in 6. We break it down. Please come and watch with us on the Playback app. I have the Playback app where you get to see the game. Yes, it's nationally televised, but here's the difference. You get to watch along with a community of Knicks fans, conversating, having fun, laughing, during the timeouts where there's we'll find out what the cheerleaders are doing, who's got a camel toe, who has a wedgie, what's the act, all that stuff. We have good fun, spirited talk and debate and conversation and laughs, and it's a fun community to join us. So join us on the Playback. Now we could get to see the games. Of course, they're on the Playback. Enjoy it and go together in a playoff run. And especially if they hit a game bucket or they make a defensive plays, we all together laughing or celebrating or cursing up a storm or irating or pissed off or just virtually high-fiving. We all have that good fun. We had a fun year. That's why I think that's also what made the season fun. I think the 51-game season win was so much fun because we laughed. We enjoyed it. Even some of the losses were kind of but we had fun watching the game together as a community. I think that's what makes this watch along so special, so fun. You're gonna say, why are you gonna watch along? You just break down. Because it's fun. Because you want to talk to other Knicks fans while things are happening in real time. So that's why I love doing the watch along. That's why I enjoy talking to everyone from Big Taz to D-Ross to Tony, so many more, and Jack City, Jody Davison, everyone there. I appreciate them. I'm going to get to see you guys on Saturday for a little bit of WrestleMania. So I will be doing the game. I'll be having it on. I'll be in and out. I'll be mostly in the Knicks because it's a playoff, but there's also a WrestleMania stream going that I got to man and keep an eye on. But I said, why couldn't you get this game at Easter Sunday at 1:00? I know I was hoping it was Easter Sunday at 1:00. Seriously, but it is what it is. Let's get it. I'm ready to tip off the game. I'm ready to tip off the basketball. I'm ready to go. We waited all season, and now I say this, Knicks fans, or if you're a Knicks fan. You see the train, you see the Knicks bandwagon, the train doors are open. We ask you if you're going to jump, now is the time to get on board on the Knicks train bandwagon. You're in, either you're in or you're out. No half. Once the train leaves the playoff station, once all aboard, once the Knicks playoff train is leaving, we're going to go nonstop to destination Larry O'Brien. If you don't have the bladder, the guts, the intestinal fortitude to go on the ride for the postseason, The train is about to leave. You have a decision to make Saturday 6 o'clock before the basketball get tipped off, and you have to make a decision. Either you're in full Knicks or you're out. I'm in. I'm all in. My Nick pride, I'm ready to go. Big task. I'm talking to them from now. Talking to them. Adam, the underachieving Knicks will get out in a humility wrestling move like you used to do to your brother by the Pistons. Pistons in 6. All right, we'll see. I mean, I like the spirit. Adam, I like the spirit, Adam. I like the spirit. The underachieving Knicks. How did they underachieve? They've won 51 games. Just because they lost to a few teams, it's not, the Pistons had a really good season. Let me ask, can the Pistons have overachieved? That's 43 wins, and there's nothing to sneeze about. Don't put your head down winning 43 games compared to being the doormats they were a couple years ago. You should be proudful and happy that the Pistons are where they're at, 6 seed. They avoided the play-in. They got one of the favorable matchups on paper. The Knicks, 6 seed. Hey, Knicks are stacked. They should have been a 60-win team. 9-game difference. You could be right with that, but also we had injuries. And there's no excuse because you have a bench. You have a 15-man roster. You bring up whoever you have. That's why you stack with players that could play at them. 60 wins is a lot of wins, Adam. I think the Knicks only done it 3 times in their franchise matter of fact, I'm gonna Google that right now. And then we'll find out. Let me Google that correctly to make sure. And once I get that answer, we'll let's see. Only 2. Adam, the Knicks only had 2 60-win seasons. Only 2. 1992, 93, and 69 and 70. That's it. They only had 2 60-win seasons. You're asking for something that's wow. If we would have said 55-win season, I could agree with you. We lost a couple games that we should have not lost. I could agree with you. 51 is still nothing to sneeze. 51 is still not an underachieving thing, especially what the Knicks were terrible, 17-win games. Nah, I'm definitely beating the Pistons is not even a significant achievement for the Knicks. No, but it'll be a colossal embarrassment if they do. They have to beat the Pistons. Oh, they don't have to because some Knicks fans will be even smiling if the Knicks were to lose to the Pistons. Believe it or not, because they want Thibodeau gone. They want, maybe we have to, they want Thibodeau gone so much from his coaching prowess that they're willing to lose the season, which I'm not a fan of that. I want to win no matter who's the coach, no matter how young. This is something you're never going to get this time. If these players are young, I don't want to play them another year older we're in a salary cap restricted league. You have the time, you have the weapons, you need to strike while the iron is hot. You have a good coach, regardless of the fact if you don't like, you have to strike while the iron is hot. You can't limit, and you want to go win as many games as possible. I thought that the Knicks had 55 wins, but the Knicks can make the mark in the playoffs. So 55 wins, so they fall 4 games short, big task. Maybe one win against if we would have got 1 win against the Pistons, 1 against the Cavaliers, that's 50. That's 53. They would have 53 wins, and maybe a game that they should have not lost to the Chicago Bulls. That would have been 54. I think they're right there, 54, 55 wins, big task. If we would have said that in the beginning of the year, the Knicks are going to win 55 or 54 or 50, anywhere from 54 to 51 games, I think a lot of people say that's fair. That's fair. No Mitchell Robinson for most of the 3/4 of the season or so forth. I think people would have been fine. Boston has 56 wins. So yeah, that's fine. And we didn't know that's the Cavaliers were going to play that well like that. No, I think right now, I think we're just going by recency. We're going by recency. The way they closed their season out, that we're like, damn, they really lost those games, didn't they? Cat cost us 8 games. So let's say they say, all right, let's say they win half of those 4. So that's 55 wins. The games that cost us, that's 4. It's just even, yeah. It makes sense mathematically. We're practically there. Yeah, it's exactly. It's semantics. This team was still a 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. I don't think they were going to get better than a 3rd seed this season. The way Boston and especially the Cavaliers play. So they being 3rd, they're the 3rd best team in the East. I don't think anyone would have said, "Nah, I don't want to take it," because you have the defending champions and you have the Cavaliers. You know, you could have even said the Pacers in the rate, but I'm not gonna. That's just semantics right now. To me, I think that's semantics. I'm not gonna go crazy. They finished 3rd. They're in 3rd seed. They got better. Now it's just about the playoff runs. Right now, the Knicks are this regular season is so long and so convoluted. That you're gonna hold them to their records in the postseason. Look, if they would have not lost that playing game to the rolling of the dice to the Hawks, that's another loss that they left on the table. There's a few losses. It all evens itself out. So you trade that one for the Portland buzzer beater because they only had one buzzer beater, I believe, in the whole season. So it evens itself out in the course of a regular season to the finals, and let's go with that. So okay, so with that said, everyone get ready to get on board. Please check out our playback. The video is in the description. Check us out there Saturday. Appreciate everyone joining us this evening. And again, anyone wants to come on, let me know before I say goodbye. If not, I will say goodbye and enjoy the rest of the evening. I got a couple minutes there. Anyone? Tom Bueller? No. All right, guys. So we'll see you guys. D-Ross, of course, big task at hand. Adam, if you're more than welcome to join us on the watch-alongs, come on the playback. We're not a Knicks channel that's gonna curse or ridicule or get upset. No, we invite everyone from everywhere. We very cordial. We're very, as long as you're respectful. We're very respectful with the opposing teams. We just want to enjoy the game back and forth. And with that said, guys, have a good night. We'll see you Saturday. Let's go.